The Wallabies did something unthinkable back in 1986.
Wave after wave of attacking football was thrown at the Wallabies, but always the men in goal dug in and defended heroically.
They beat the All Blacks at Eden Park in Auckland.
We'd had a great year in '84 when Alan Jones took over as coaching, and that was my first year with the Wallabies too.
And the brilliance of Brett Papworth did the rest for Andrew Leeds.
Liner to Papworth, here's Burke, Lyon, Papworth! Brett Papworth!
Great memories, fantastic memories.
The Wallabies scored 2 tries to 0 to win the series deciding third test.
The last time we won there, strangely enough, long time since we won at Eden Park. It was a good team, a good period for Australian rugby.
To beat them on their soil in a 3-test series was extremely special.
It was the last truly great period for Australian rugby, except of course the era around the 1999 World Cup win with John Eales. More recently, rugby's story has been about a declining audience, allegations of poor governance, factional infighting, and who could forget the Israel-Folau affair, all creating an existential crisis for the game they used to play in heaven.
I thought about it too.
The view from clubs like Eastwood in Sydney is that the national body, Rugby Australia, has neglected community rugby for years.
Yeah, let's always have one out the back every time.
They've had heaps of money and they've spent it all on themselves. In the last 2 decades, they would have spent 1.8 billion. So where's the money gone and is it working? And the disconnect between the rugby community and the professional arm of the game is as wide as it has ever been.
A disconnect which reportedly saw Rugby Australia spend $19 million last year on corporate costs and only $4 million on community rugby.
They've chopped all the trees down and been a fantastic logging business, and they've built massive timber mills, but they've forgotten to plant any new trees.
The vacuum left by outgoing CEO Raylene Castle revealed the financial woes of an organisation still needing a TV broadcast deal for next year. A group of former Wallaby captains, including Nick Farr-Jones, wrote an open letter to the board seeking change.
That was the vision of the captains, a total review of the game. We just wanted a little bit of input into things like, high performance, which has been terrible for a decade and longer, things where we thought we could add significant value. It's just that we're behind the 8 ball, Australia at the moment. And, I think that's been, a lot of mismanagement in the last few years.
Do you agree that it is an existential crisis?
There's absolutely no doubt. I think we made a grave mistake knocking back the Foxtel broadcasting deal. When you look at, spending $320,000 a day in rugby, having over 200 staff, having corporate costs of nearly $20 million a year, I just cannot understand that. There's going to have to be a significant reset.
Today, that reset began. Rugby Australia laid off more than 40% of head office staff in a bid to stave off insolvency, which includes a $9 million loan secured by interim CEO Rob Clarke. How do you explain the alleged mismanagement, poor governance and factional infighting that's gone on at Rugby Australia to the Australian rugby community watching this?
I still don't believe that that's an appropriate term. As to decisions made from past administration, they're questions you can ask them. I'm sure they had reasons why they made the decisions they did. My job is to secure the future of the game while I'm in this chair. This week we have actually announced a major restructure at Rugby Australia, and that restructure is significant.
By one count, Rugby Australia spent at least $1.8 billion on the game over 2 decades, and our world ranking has slumped from around 2nd to 7th. Do you agree that this is a failure?
It's not where we want to be, I agree. And we have been number 1 in the past, and where we sit today is not where we want to be. So that is a focus of our high performance team under Scott Johnson and new coach Dave Rennie.
How much of the dire state of overall rugby in Australia rests on the Wallabies' consistent failures?
Well, it's interesting. I've been 20 years, I think, of being involved in professional rugby as a coach, and often you go straight into any team and all the so-called administrators say, yeah, you know what, just win and everything will be all right. right? But winning is a consequence of making sure that your strategy is correct on and off the field.
Even the former Wallabies coach has lamented the failure of elite forms of the game.
Our Super Rugby teams were just running at a, into the millions of dollars worth of losses every year, and that's not sustainable in any way.
Michael Checker is hopeful for better days ahead for players and for fans.
Giving them something that they can be truly engaged in is what it's all about, I think, which will lead to success. And it may take the medium term, it may not happen immediately, but I really believe that full integration of the game and the unification of the game at all levels is an essential tool to success.
There is cause for optimism in some parts of the game, for example, the successes of under-21s, women's and sevens rugby. But for the national body, Rugby Australia, it's wedged between an international code it doesn't own and therefore can't tweak, and on the other hand, the desperate need to find a TV-friendly format to attract a major broadcast deal.
I think it's a bright future. It's a challenging future right now, as most businesses and certainly sports are going through with COVID. That said, I think it provides a nice opportunity. Why waste a crisis is a common phrase, and I think it actually relates to what we have in front of us now.
They've changed some deck chairs, potentially on the Titanic, but it remains to be seen whether they're prepared to make the massive strategic shift that they need if they want to turn this around.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 7:30's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.